Cool.
The first one, this one's pretty long, but it's very personal to the commenter. So this one's from Starla Moore. She says, I lost contact with my dad for about 10 years, age 16 to 26, due to a woman he was dating who felt spiteful about my overall existence. It's had a lifelong impact on my emotions, trust, and ability to accept myself. At the same time, I'm also very grateful that I've needed to survive without the guidance of a father figure because I was able to build several amazing businesses by age 27 that otherwise may not have happened. Long story made very short, my dad and this woman broke up a year ago. I found this to be the perfect opportunity to reach out, and he has since tried very hard to show his remorse for his actions over the past 10 years. However, now that he's alone for the first time in his life, he constantly reaches out to me for financial support and often refers to me as his rich daughter. I've given him over $10K in the last year. I've hired him for small tasks in my business, and I've given him a car that I no longer drive. Through all this, there are still monthly emergencies where he contacts me to ask for money. I'm still stuck in a selfish place where for once my dad needs me, so I keep feeding into this toxic cycle. How would you cut the financial cord without severing the core relationship?
Wow, that's so hard.
That is heavy.
So, I mean, the difficult thing that to summarize is that it sounds like your dad has most of the time has never played the role of a father, meaning that he didn't put his daughter prior to his own new relationship. And now he's not playing the role of provider or someone who supports you. And not that he needs to pay for you, but or even takes care of himself. And you're in this weird role of like the expendable friend is almost what I imagine feels like.
He dipped out for 10 years. Is that right?
Yep.
What do you think? I mean, so I'm in over my head. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, I will say I've seen from other people that unfortunately the money requests tend not to stop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I've seen. I won't say how, but that will happen forever unless you do something. It's very infrequent that somebody comes to you with 12 emergencies in 2019 and then stops.
Gets it all together.
Seriously, I mean, yeah, I've seen this happening for like a decade plus with certain people in my life. So I think you're thinking about it the right way in the sense that you either have to cut him off or be prepared for a lifetime of providing for him financially. So
I think one of the things that we often do, a similar structure, is to assume that you cannot make anyone change.
Mm-hmm.
And then within that understanding that there might still be some leeway, write down what your ideal relationship would be and perhaps even what an acceptable relationship would be. But equally as important, what an unacceptable relationship is. And this is going to be different for everybody. Some people are going to go, if my dad is present, I don't care if he just uses me as a bank.
$1,000 a month to have a dad.
To talk to him, and even if it's even if I feel used, that's worth it to me. Some people are going to go, I'm unwilling to do that. I don't know where you fall, but I think getting clear at the line. So ideal is, he never asked for money again. We still love one another, connect as father and daughter, and that gets straightened out. Acceptable, this is what you have to decide, might be he never asked for money again because I cut him off, and we no longer have a relationship because he's not interested in a relationship with me if I'm not buying things for him. But what I would say is you got to, on your own, I think, based on what's important to you, figure out what those three camps look like. And the big one is, I think the biggest question is, are you willing to give any money? I think it's almost easier to cap it at zero or some. And then if the answer is no, I'm not, then you go back to the other things which we talked about, which is you have a conversation with them. We often talk about how to have difficult conversations. Break the pattern, right? If you always talk on the phone at the same time, find a different spot. Say, hey, Dad, could we take a walk? Open him up a little bit. Say, this is tough for me. Preamble. This is tough for me. I don't know how to say this. I really value our relationship, and this scares me. You can unemotionally share your emotions at this part. And then say, I feel, right? We often talk about this, that when you ask this, I feel this, and then I feel this. So in the future, this is what I'm asking of you, to no longer ask for money perhaps, and this is how I will behave. And you don't even need to say if not, because that's kind of implied, and you'll decide what the if not scenario is earlier.
Yeah. I think I shot a video on how to have tough conversations. So all my tactical how to have a conversation that's difficult, but the best advice will be in that video. In terms of deciding what to do, I think one thing I would say is you are not obligated to do anything. I would try to get clear on your own values, but one, if other people are judging you for giving the money but you don't care, don't let them influence you. Simultaneously, if you feel used but you think that it makes you a bad daughter to cut your dad off, that is also complete bogus. So I would say do whatever you want to do from a place of desire and not from a place of obligation or guilt, because for my impression based on your story is that neither is wrong. If you were to say my dad's in a really tough place and I have a ton of money and I'm going to give him some amount that's meaningless to me because it gives us a relationship, I would not judge you. Simultaneously, if you said this guy was gone for 10 years and I don't want to be the bank, and if he won't love me as a daughter absent my financial resources, then I don't want him in my life, I would not judge you for that either. So I would just say, to the extent that you feel there's a moral obligation to one or the other, to the extent that I can free you of that, I would.
Yeah. It's also important to keep in mind that whatever decision you make can be loving. So you can lovingly decide, I love my dad and that's never going to change, because quite frankly, it's really tough. You can't turn off the way that you feel about your parents. It just is there. I love my dad. I want what's best for him, and I'm not going to ever give him another dime, in hope partially that he changes, but also just because that's not good for me, because now I just resent him more. That can be a loving decision. I think sometimes we make the decision as if only one route were expressive of our loving someone, when there are occasions when the loving thing to do is to say this can't be how we have a relationship.
Yeah, both these decisions come from love. Sure. I love you, and because of that, I'm willing to support you financially. I love you, and because of that, I want to have a father-daughter relationship, and I'm unwilling to be a bank for you. They can both come from love.
Yep. So hopefully that helps, and I think it's good that we don't tell you which one to do, because we don't know. This is just a way to think about the problem.
No, I could see a world where I did either. It would depend entirely on how I felt about the person.
Good luck. It's hard.